Hey guys, my name's Kyle, and I'm going to show you how to use the infotainment center or system, and that's basically the screen that is right in front of you in the Chevrolet truck. Let's check it out here. Okay, so this is the infotainment center, as we like to call it, and it has your speedometer. You can make it to where it shows you how much gas is left in your vehicle, or how many miles you have till empty. And then in this one, which is an LTZ, it actually shows right here. It shows your gas gauge, the speed limit in the area. So let's say you're driving in an area where it's 35 and it switches to 45. This system should be able to pick up where it's going to show you, hey, it's 45 miles an hour now, and just in case you miss the sign or whatever whenever you're driving. So great feature, and that's usually only on the LTZs and the Premiers and things like that. I'm in a 2019 Chevrolet Silverado right now, but what you're going to see is that this same system is in the Tahoe, in the Traverse, and actually many of the different models. And so as far as the speed limit part goes, but most of all of this is on all of our vehicles. So I'm going to show you how it all kind of works and how to navigate through it, how it's helpful for you. All right, so first of all, let's go with this little instrument cluster right here, if you want to call it that, just like the arrows and the knob here. And right now, of course, I am on a Chevy Silverado. It could slightly vary on each model, but for the sake of showing you how it works on this one, let's just go through it here. So this up arrow and down arrow is actually not something you can push on this. So it's just there. What it's actually showing you is you can scroll down or up with the knob. Now these you actually can push. Now I'm going to kind of try to show both here. So you look at the screen here, and you also keep your eye on this. So right here, I'm going to push this over. So it shows that top menu. See that top menu? It has the home, the information, the music, has navigation, it has a phone, and even the system settings. So each one of those are part of the menu, and I'm pushing this button to go to each one. On the home is just going to be there's nothing even to scroll on. It's just going to show your miles per hour and your how many miles to empty. And you can actually change what's on your home screen. I can show you that in just a moment. But let's just go to the next one over. So we're going to bounce one over and go to the information. This is going to be all the information on your vehicle. So for example, let's scroll down. Trip 1. I went 3,752 miles, 0.5 miles since I've set this trip. So if I wanted to reset it, I'm just going to hold this down, and it goes right to 0. So that's how you reset a trip. Now let's go to the next one. Oops, sorry. So now let's go down one. Trip 2, same thing. It's pretty much since the vehicle's been bought, this distance has never been reset. But anyway, we'll leave that one alone. And it tells you your average miles per gallon. This is pretty neat. And we'll go down again. Fuel range. This tells you how many miles you have until empty. Now keep in mind, the way this works is it's going to be how many miles till empty based on the way it's been driven. Sometimes people that buy a brand new vehicle, it'll have a certain range, and then that range will go up or down. And the people get very confused because they're like, okay, it just said that I had like 150 miles, but then I drove down the road and it said I had 200. What's going on? Well, it's because it's a computer that's basing its system off of how it's been driven. So if it's been, hot rodded, well, it's going to act like, hey, you only have like 5 miles left or whatever, or just for an example. But if you've been driving it very easy, then it's going to show that it has more miles left. So this is not an exact science as far as like, oh, I have 10 miles to go, I can make it to the store. You may have 2 miles, or you may have 20, but it's just basing it off of how it's been driven in the past, however many miles that it's been driven. And usually it's going to base it off of quite a while. I don't know exactly how far it goes back, but all I know is when it's brand new, sorry, let me get back over here, I apologize. When it's brand new, you're going to have a lower, it's going to be a little less accurate. So anyway, moving on. So I'm going to scroll down again. Now I'm on oil life. Wow, 4%. Now, keep in mind, and I don't know everything about this, I'm going to tell you what I do know. This is based on how many how many miles you've driven, but also on, I don't know for sure if it's set this way, but I think it may also be on time, based on time. So if you've actually had this for a year and you have never changed the oil, that may, but you haven't been driving it, well, it may say you have 4% oil life. Keep in mind, it is best practice to change the oil every year. But at the same time, if you don't need to change the oil, that's probably going to be vary from this person to another, but you may be able to go a little longer without changing it. So this, for example, it may have not ever been changed, or maybe it's been changed once, because it's a 2019. I'm in 2021 right now. It may have been changed once, and now it's like, well, it's time to change it again. But this guy, whoever had it before, barely ever drove it, so you may be able to get a couple more thousand miles out of it. But again, I'm not a technician. I'm just telling you that's what that means. And if I want to reset it, I actually hold down this button and reset it. I'm not going to do that, but that's how you reset it to 100%, and that's what you do if the person that changed the oil didn't do it. Now let's go to the next one. Tire pressure. Look at this. This is great. This is showing you kind of what it would look like if you do have an issue. So you see the 27 and 26 that are lit up. That's actually going to show you that you need to get more air pressure in those tires. So if you look at the 28 and the 27 and the other two boxes, for whatever reason, the 27 in the bottom left is not lit up. That means that it has enough air. It's probably one of the most minimum amounts that it needs, but it has enough air. If you open your door right here, this tells you, if you look at that, it tells you how much pressure you need in each tire. If you look very close, I'm not going to do it right now, it's a little rainy outside, it'll tell you how much tire pressure you need in the rear tires and how much tire pressure you need in the front tires. I think, I may be completely wrong, but I think it's closer to it's definitely in the 30s. So these all have lower pressure, and that sometimes can happen with the weather and things like that. So that's why this is like this. We just got this truck, and I think it's been setting a little bit. So it may just not have been aired up since the weather changed, because it's a little bit colder, right? It's been a little bit cold lately. So anyway, let's move on to the next one. Oh, and by the way, one little other really neat thing that this does, and I don't know if it does it every single time, but I have noticed it do this, is if you keep your vehicle like this and you go out and you air up the tires, once it gets to the right air pressure, the horn will actually honk. It's the neatest thing. So it actually lets you know that you've got enough in it. So anyway, that's just a neat little thing that you can test out sometime. All right, let's scroll down again. Air filter life, 55%. Brake pad life, 97, 98. That's good. Engine hours, 110. Is how many hours it's been driven, or been running, I should say. This is your blank page. I'm just scrolling down. I'm going to go ahead and focus on the screen so it's easier, but I'm just scrolling down. Info page options. I'm back to trip. Okay. Now I'm going to go over one to music. Let's get back over here now. Whoops. Okay. So, Sirius XM tells you your radio ID. That's cool, especially if you call them, and kind of gives you your preview. So right now I don't have it activated. So let's say this is only going to show you what you've got activated right here. So if you're on audio and you got it on Sirius XM, that's what's going to show. But if you have it on FM, now it shows FM. And you can actually scroll through the channels just by doing that. So there you go. Now let's go over to the next one. I just tapped the right arrow, so I went over to the next menu over, which is your navigation. Now this is an LTZ, so it actually has navigation built in. So we're gonna go back to the home screen, click navigation, and the way this works is you can actually set in your navigation. You know, you can, I'm not gonna go over navigation right now, but let's just say you put in what you want, where you want to go, and then it's gonna show you right here. So you could actually have this set up to where you're not having to look over here all the time. You're actually just looking at this screen, and you're good to go. So a great way for you to keep your eyes a little bit more on the road, because you're just looking right there, and then it's almost like you can look at it at the same time, you know what I'm saying? So it's just a little feature in case you want to use it. We'll get to the navigation stuff later, but that's that tab. Now we're going to go over again, and this is your phone. And right now I do not have a phone connected to this, so not really helping us out right now. But if you do have your phone on, it's going to show you, who you're talking to. It will even show you like who are the last people you talked to, and if you want to dial them again or whatever the case is. So it's a pretty neat feature that I think you guys are going to like. You see that little icon in the bottom left there with the right there? Just in case you want to know what that is your tire pressure monitor. It just shows you that you need air in one of your tires, and that's why you'll just go over to your deal right here, and you're gonna bounce all the way over to the info page, and you'll just scroll down like we were before and get to the tire pressure and say, oh, looks like I need tire pressure in actually all of them. So anyway, that's how this system works. And just since we're already here, we'll just leave it at that. As far as the gauges, I think it's probably important to go ahead and go over the gauges as well. This right here is your RPM gauge. This little section right here, on some of the newer vehicles, I think 19 and up or whatever, they started doing a feature called auto stop. This is very important for you guys to know. If you come to a stop, it doesn't happen all the time. It really depends on the temperature of the vehicle and several variants. But if you come to a stop while you're driving, it'll actually the truck will turn off. And that's where this will just go down here. It's not actually completely off. It just means the engine is turned off. As soon as you let your foot off the brake, down here, or you just move your steering wheel just a little bit, just like that, it should pop right out, and it's just going to go start right back up, and you're just on your way or whatever. Now, one thing they've done on these trucks that you're going to love, and a lot of vehicles now, is they have this little feature, just in case you don't like it. See that little A? It sends your automatic start-stop feature. You can just push that, and it turns it off. Auto stop off. Now, keep in mind, you do have to do this every time you get in the vehicle, if you don't want that on. So anyway, this is your oil pressure gauge. This is your temperature gauge, your gas gauge, your battery life, or how much charge you have, and then right here, this of course is your speedometer. So that's a basic overview of this infotainment center right in front of you, and it should help you to know how to work, how this all works, and what this information can do for you. Thank you very much, guys, and I look forward to the next lesson.